Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Royal Talens Creator Studio Live. My name is Jeff Olson. I'm the Art Education Director for Royal Talens North America, and I will be your host today. Today, if you like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and you live in Canada or the US, you are eligible to win your very own set of Cobra Artist water mixable oils, which we will give away at the end of the live broadcast. So make sure you stay tuned, make a comment, like or follow us, as I said before, and you will be eligible to win. So we have a great show for you and a terrific guest. She is a widely recognized American artist from Idaho's Central Mountains, known not only for her poetic landscapes, her vibrant plein air studies, and elegant still lifes, but also for her spirited presence in the art world. I've been waiting to say that. I love it. While primarily an oil painter, she also works in encaustic and gouache. She is a signature member of the Oil Painters of America, the American Impressionist Society, a Heartland Art Club, and an out-of-state member of the California Art Club. Lori is a master artist in Cobra water mixable oils and an ambassador for Royal Talens, Royal Talens North America, Willow Wolf Brushes, Frederick Canvas, and Multimedia Artboard. She shares her expertise through a popular blog, LoriMcNee.com, online courses at art.lorimcnee.com, global workshops, judging plein air events, her book, Fine Art Tips with Lori McNee, and an instructional video, Luminous Landscape Painting. Everybody join me in welcoming Lori McNee. Lori, how you doing?
Here I am. Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. I'm doing
Good.
really well. Thanks for joining us today. Always a privilege.
Yeah, it's great to be here in my new studio.
That is so cool. We were taking a tour earlier. If we have a little time at the end, we'll have to share some of your studio with folks. I'm sure they will
Okay,
enjoy it.
sounds good.
So we have got all sorts of goodies for everybody today. We're going to share a little bit of Lori's work with you via a slideshow I have prepared. I've got a few questions for Lori about her working process, and then I'm going to turn it over to her, and she is going to walk you through a fun demo, show some of her early stages preparation as she's building a painting from the very beginning, which I think is super important, right? We
Yeah.
always see the finished product, but it's always wonderful to take a peek at how everything starts. So that's going to be awesome to see that. So to kick things off, you're zooming in from your studio. Where's your studio located at?
So I am in Idaho, in Ketchum, Idaho, and I built a townhome that you and your wife saw a couple
Yeah.
years ago, and I just moved in early fall, and it's exciting. I downsized because we have our family farm 2 hours away, so I spend a lot of time there. So this studio is smaller than my previous one, but I've made it really efficient. And so I'm happy with it. I have you can't really see, but like you said, if we have time, I have a wall easel here. You can see a painting there. I can have three across this wall with a 9-foot ceiling. And I was telling you a little bit earlier, I can hold up to an 8-foot painting. So no excuses. I can still get a lot of big work done.
That's
So I'm
fantastic.
just getting to know the space and it feels good to be back at my easel.
Well, it looks wonderful. You got some great light in there for sure.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, today we are going to talk a little bit about Cobra, which is the water mixable oil by Royal Talens, and you've been using it for several years now. Why did
Yeah.
you decide to go to solvent free?
So I've always been solvent free for the most part. In school, I did learn to use oils. I didn't care for the solvents. So I was primarily an acrylic painter when my kids were young and before they were in school, and I would paint during nap time or in between loads of laundry back in the 90s and 2000s. I was a wildlife artist. And so I studied with like Robert Bateman and John Siri Lester, Carl Brenders, Guy Koliak, and all the greats. And a lot of them used oils, but most of them focused with acrylics. So they really influenced me. But then I got kind of bored with painting from photographs. And so I discovered plein air painting back in the 90s, and I started plein air painting. And then I took a really great workshop around the year 2000 with a good friend of mine, Robert Moore, who slings paint like nobody else I know. And so I discovered plein air painting with him, and it totally changed to where I wanted to paint in oils. And I started with Grumbacher Max because they were the first ones, and Cobra hadn't developed yet. So, and I wasn't super happy with them. They were kind of stiff, but I was able to still paint some nice paintings. And then at the first plein air convention, I met Kyle, and I chatted with him, and he made me an ambassador. And I can't remember what year that was. It was like a long time ago now, 10, 12 years ago. So I've been painting with Cobra ever since, and I've never looked back. I love it.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are like one of the original
I might be
ambassadors.
the
Yeah.
original. I might. I don't know. We'll have to verify with Kyle, but yes, I am
That's
original.
fantastic. That is no doubt about that. No doubt about
Spirited.
that.
Spirited too.
I loved that. When I saw that in your intro and your biography, I loved it. I couldn't wait to read it to
I'm
everybody.
blushing.
That's great. That's great. One quick question about teaching. You're a teacher, you're a mentor for a lot of painters out there. And I know you have talked about it before, but if you can share with folks, what are some of the advantages of using Cobra in the workshop environment?
Oh gosh, it's so wonderful, and it's growing. It's like the revolution, right? We talk about. Um, well, a lot of schools and universities have gone away from solvents for one, and it spills over into the art world outside of the universities. And artists are more aware of health and the health in their studio. And like I said, when I was a young mom, I didn't want solvents in my home. And also when you're teaching in plein air, which I love to do, and all you need is water. You don't have to travel with any solvents, no terps. You don't have to land. And, I teach traditional oil painters too, because the process is basically the same. We're just substituting the solvents for water. So the same techniques apply. So I have a lot of traditional artists that follow me around the globe on my international workshops. And the first thing they have to do when we land is like, oh my gosh, where's a hardware store? I need turpentine. Where's an art store? And it's not always easy. So it's great just to use water. And then I like to use the local water, which you do anyway when you travel. But it's really fun when you're plein air painting to kind of just scoop a cup of water from the river near you or the lake, and you're infusing a bit of the place into your painting too. I like that a lot.
That's really cool. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that for sure. Today, you're going to show us some mixed media techniques, and you often incorporate mixed media. What are some examples of materials that you combine with the oils?
Well, let me tell you why I even started doing that. And um, as I said, I was painting pretty traditional wildlife art, and then I discovered plein air painting, and at the same time moving over into oils with plein air painting as well as still life. So I have painted still life for I don't know, since 2000 also. I started painting with still life. And I love it, but again, it's in more the traditional way. It's tedious sometimes, and sort of I got bored, if you wanted the truth. And I like to always stretch and grow, and I did not understand abstract painting or contemporary painting. I just did not understand it because I've been trained as a traditional artist for the most part. So I found an artist. We have really good galleries in town here, and his name's David DeVilliers, and he at the time was with Gail Severin Gallery, and I think he might still be there. But I paint nothing like him, and I don't want to paint like him. But he's just got the most interesting process and techniques. So I called him up one day and asked if I could maybe train under him for a little bit. And I had so much fun and learned so many neat techniques. And I've been able to incorporate them into my current body of work over the past years since then. And then I also took encaustic this is all about 10 years ago. And I love encaustic, it's wax, but it is not solvent free. And I had a lot of fun working with it. And I do have a big ventilation system, and I still do create encaustic, but it's a very challenging medium, which is what I love about it. You can't control it easily. And it either will melt or freeze and crack really easily. And I live in inclement weather, so it's hard to ship things. So I do a little bit of encaustic, but not as much as I used to. So then I discovered cold wax, and I added that into my paintings. But again, that has its issues as well, and there still is some kind of solvent involved. So I have figured out, I was telling you earlier, how to use the Cobra painting paste to simulate the cold wax. But I have had fun, especially in the underpainting process, having some fun being more free with painting, and just putting different mixed media techniques along with acrylic underneath. And so I started painting today, and ironically, it's not as wild as some of my underpaintings are, but we could even do one together, just play with some acrylic. I don't know how much time we have, but or we can just dive right in, whatever you think.
Well, let's take a look first at the images that you sent me, because I know
Okay, sure.
folks will enjoy see some of your
Yeah.
paintings, and we can talk a little bit more about your process in
Okay,
that.
that sounds
And then
good.
I'll turn it over to you, and you can take us wherever you want to take us, Laura.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let me go ahead and bring up the image here. You should see it in a second. There we go. There we
Okay.
go. So go ahead and tell us about this painting.
So I just completed that about a week ago. And one thing, like I've been saying, that I've been striving for is to contemporize my work. Now, yes, it's kind of ironic because I'm actually going back to my wildlife roots lately, where it's pretty traditional in a sense. However, putting it on a long, skinny, narrow, not a standard size, already gives it a more modern feeling. And I'm working to be somewhat transitional with my work, and I'm framing things a little less traditionally, especially my larger pieces, so that they could go into a home that has more traditional art or more contemporary art. And it seems to please people. And so with a painting like this, I started with, again, acrylic, and it's kind of, you have to be mindful when you use acrylic paint under oil, because acrylic, and you can correct me if I'm incorrect, Jeffrey, but it's like a plastic synthetic, and oil is a living organism, and it needs something to cling to. And if we put too much acrylic down on our canvas or panel, it makes it too slick. So if you do use acrylic underneath, you want to make sure that you keep enough tooth, or you can add clear acrylic gesso over the top to give it some tooth. Am I correct with all that then, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, essentially, you want to mitigate that slick, hard surface of the acrylic. So you can add
Yes.
that clear gesso. You can just add a little water into your acrylic paint to make it a little more porous. Some folks add the gesso and mix it into the paint before they paint it on there. So there are different ways to achieve it, but just a little bit of water is all you need to open that paint up a little more.
Yeah, and so that's what I do. And then I get kind of an abstract, I have fun right away, right out of the gate, instead of staring at a white canvas that can be kind of daunting for all of us. So I have this fun, playful uh, colors, but I'm thinking ahead of what the final painting is going to be. So I choose colors that are going to complement what's on top, and also allow a little bit of it to come through. So this is obviously a very green painting. Can you zoom back out on it a little bit,
Um,
please? If you,
yes, I think
maybe
so.
you can't.
There we
Oh,
go.
there you go. So there's also all this negative space. And so I like using a little bit of dynamic symmetry, and I always block off a couple angles on my paintings. And so that's kind of where I liked that dark section up above because it was kind of in a dynamic area up above. And then I've got the Baroque diagonal and the sinister. And then, so it just helps add to a dynamic feeling like he's coming through. But I didn't want it to be, I didn't want this bear to be really aggressive. It is a grizzly, but I wanted it not to be a scary encounter because I do encounter grizzly bears in my life and I have a lot of respect for them.
As you should, as you should. Very
Yes.
good.
So anyway, that's a little bit of the story of this painting.
Okay, let's go ahead and check out the next one. I love the texture in this one. This is super fun.
Oh, so this was so much fun. I'd never had painted lavender before. So I've been invited to judge the lavender, I can't remember what they call themselves, the Lavender Festival in Newberg, Oregon. So that's coming up this summer. And they said, we would love if, we want you to be our poster child. So we need something lavender or flowers. So I scrambled around and I came up with this. And I'm sharing this right now because I want to show the versatility of Cobra. It really, you can paint very thin with glazes. In the bear painting, I did a lot of that. And then build up with an impasto thicker paint. And this one was a lot of palette knife. And I had a lot of fun with it. I chose complementary colors, the purples and yellows, so it's real pleasing. And kept to a limited palette. And I do my best to use a limited palette, even though my Cobra set, how are we 12 or 10
10
tubes?
tubes.
10. And it's a split primary palette. So there's a warm and a cool from each primary. I always have them on the ready, but I don't always use all 10 tubes of paint for every painting. So you don't have to feel like you have to use every tube you own. It's, in fact, you'll create more harmony if you keep it to a more limited palette.
Great advice.
Yeah. And then this is called Green Goddess, and that's the little female hummingbird down there below, and the male's coming in trying to woo her. So I had a lot of fun. I love doing my hummingbird paintings because I do the abstract background first, and I think about what that environment's going to be like. And I knew I wanted it to be, like jewel tones. So I slapped on a bunch of acrylic paint and I used squeegees and fun tools, big palette knives like this, that, and just, excuse me, move that paint around and scrape, and then I'll use in the underpainting, I use these color crayon-y things that don't use them on top because they aren't totally archival, but they'll work underneath. So I do that, and then I'll paint with my oils on top. And again, I already know in my mind where the birds are going to go. And so this probably has less impasto. Well, it does for sure. And it has more glazes. And so the glazes are transparent passages, and we use the glazing medium for that. And
Wonderful. Created a
yeah,
real ethereal feel and look. Yeah.
yeah, I know. I love hummingbirds. And then this is Midday Magpies, and this used to have 3 magpies in it. And I grabbed it back from a gallery where it was hanging, and I took it home and I reworked it and I got rid of the 3rd magpie, and I like it so much better. So, and that was, kind of interesting. And so after painting is dry, in fact, you just talked about this on the water-mixable oil forum or Facebook group that we have, or that we're all a member of. And someone asked, how do you oil out and what is oil out? And so I had to oil out basically, but what I did first, this is on canvas. So I used a sanding block and I sanded the area where the bird was to kind of knock it down. And you know what, you guys, I do wear a mask when I sand because you don't want those little painting particles, even though for the most part we're pretty safe, but you still want to be careful. You don't want to breathe that dust. And then I used the painting medium over the top. And in the areas that I knew that I'd be painting over, I added painting medium and then I let it set up for a little bit, kind of not dry, but get just a little tackier. And then I started painting and I like it much better like this.
It's wonderful. I love
Yeah.
the birds, but I also love the tree branch here.
Thank you.
A lot of character.
Yeah, the drips are fun and you can do that. And I love to drip and splatter lately. I'm having so much fun. And and so, I with the underpainting, you can do it with just water, but as you start to get thicker, you're supposed to add more oils so that the layers cling to each other and that the layer underneath doesn't ever crack. And so as I get thicker, I'll use a little bit of water, but add some of the painting medium and get those drips going. It's kind of fun.
It is really very suggestive of a lot of
Yeah,
different things in the environment. Yeah, really
yeah.
nice.
And then this is hot off the easel too. I just finished this, The Drifters. And this was inspired by a scene that I saw a couple springs ago in Grand Tetons. And I was out bear hunting with my camera, which I usually do once or twice a year. And I saw 610 is the mom in the front and her two subadult cubs. And they had just, rumor had it, not right that moment out of the den, but they had just emerged just very recently from the den. And they were going across this big ice field that was starting to melt, and some of that land was coming up and being exposed. And so I wanted to keep that feeling. So that painting, I started with some fun, expressive acrylic. And I don't always start with acrylic, you guys. Sometimes I do use oil paint as my underpainting, but I was saying to Jeff, I like shortcuts, especially I've been so busy with building and just being a grandmother and driving back and forth, and I have galleries that need things from me. So an underpainting helps shorten it for me a little bit. And I'm not cutting corners on quality, and I think it helps for me with my quality. It adds more character and a richness and more of a story of with the painting being a little bit revealed, a little peekaboo about kind of the story of how the painting developed. I like that. So I left some of that raw underneath. And then I used some graphite. I like doing a little bit of calligraphy marks with, I'll just use a graphite stick. And it works really well with the top layer of oil. So that's the story with that one.
I love where you left the canvas exposed and you get this kind of positive negative with the grass, the brush strokes and marks you're making. Really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, so that is it for
Okay.
the images. So now what everyone is looking forward to, and that's how you paint. What I will do is do my best to look through the questions as they're coming up and the ones that folks have already answered, and I'll kind of feed those to you as we get going. Sound good?
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So I was just gonna show, what time are we?
Oh, don't
Okay,
worry
we
about the
have
time.
now.
I got, yeah, I got.
So this, I paint on either panels or canvas. And this, usually a deep panel. These are all canvases that are right here on my easel right now. And this is a panel and it's cradled on the back. But whatever I'm working on, I like the deep ones. This one's not as deep. But I usually paint on the deeper ones, and you tape off the edge so that it keeps the edge nice when you pull this off, unless you plan to paint the sides, and I don't always paint the sides. So I gesso it. I like using a thick gesso and making my own texture. And that's, again, a personal preference. So it's just trial and error, and, try smooth ones, and try texturing it and see what you like. But I'm going to change cameras right now, and bear with me. Let's see. We'll go over to there. So I just started this today. So this is obviously going to be a fox, and I wanted to I talked to you about the lines that I create to kind of help me, and I wanted this to be on the sinister diagonal to show just some energy and a little bit of tension. And this is a double square. It's a 12 by 24. And so I usually try to find even like where the golden rectangle is, and the golden rectangle's about right here. So I'll hint at that with maybe a tree branch or something like that. And from here to here is another side of the golden rectangle. So I'm kind of hinting at that. But then for the most part, I'm going to have a higher horizon, but I like his placement, and it's like he's creeping up into the forest and he just looks at you. And so I put him almost on center, which is sort of breaking the rules in some way. And I do believe we can break the rules. But when you're first learning to paint, it's better to follow the rules, and then you can break them as you start gaining more confidence. But let me switch to this camera real fast, because I am going to lay out my paints. So I'm going to show you, I do these little palettes, this is kind of messy. I should have done it a little more neat and tidy. But this is a triad, and I'm picking my palette, and I know what my paints are going to do when I do these little swatches. So I'm going to use titanium white. Where is my white? Where's my white? Oh, here it is, right here. White, cadmium yellow, lemon, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, madder lake, transparent oxide red, and then Payne's gray. And it's funny because this is a new color, both ivory black and Payne's gray. I used to be kind of a purist. I never wanted to use black. I never wanted to use gray. And lately I'm enjoying adding it to my palette sparingly. So we're going to lay out our palette now. And then here are my brushes, and I use Willow Wolf's brushes. This is the Seneca line, and I really like them for water mixable oils. The one thing with water mixable oils is they can be kind of hard on brushes a little bit, I'll admit. So you just want to make sure you rinse them out right away, and then they're going to be fine. And then you can just use soap and water. Just use like Dawn dish soap, or Cobra makes a really nice bar soap that gets a lot of excess oil out. But don't let your brushes sit around like I do. I'm really hard on brushes because I paint till the last possible moment, and then I forget to wash my brushes, or I don't have time, and then I regret it later. And then I even like these really inexpensive Simply Simmons for the beginning stages. And I like just a chip brush from the hardware store. These work great. And so I'm gonna lay out my paints real fast. I was running out of white. I just got some white. So I am right-handed, so I like to put my white closest to my right hand. And so I lay out my paints from right to left. And again, it's a personal, it's what you like best, what feels best to you. I see people do it all different ways, But the main thing is to have an organized palette is so important, so that there's so much to think about when you're painting. And the last thing you want to do is search for your color. So I am going to go from cool to warm. And so yellow ochre is muted. So to me, that's cooler than it's almost a tie in a way, because yes, this is a cool yellow, but anyway, and then I go to, because I'm using, again, a limited palette, I'm gonna mix my own greens. This is not gonna have a lot of green in it. And then, so cool, warm, cool, and then this is a cool of the red family. And then the transparent oxide red is a little bit warmer. And the cool and warm is always relative in what they're next to. And then some Queen's Grays. Let me put these out of the way. So then I've got a water bucket here, and I don't ever dump it out. I mean, so rarely. I just add to it because it's got this little strainer underneath. It's a traditional. I had one so old that it just corroded recently, and it was probably 30 years old. So this is new. And I don't fill it all the way. Just put a little bit of water in there. And when I need more, because it's dry where I live, it's gonna evaporate, and then I'll just add more water to it. So let me pull up my reference material. Hang on. Hold on, because my Zoom stuff is covering everything. All right. So I'm gonna dip into the water, and what color? I'm gonna go with some blue. Oh, I wanted to show you something first though. Because I was talking about, okay, so this was, oh, I need to go back to the other, let me get to the other camera. Sorry, you guys, hang on. Oops, that's me. Bear with me there. Okay, there we go. So what I had done is I used gray gesso. When I paint winter scenes, this is going to be a winter scene. This is like my secret. This is my silver bullet for winter scenes. I know Bob Ross, everyone
Good
can
old
laugh.
Bob Ross.
Huh?
I said, good old Bob Ross.
I know. And so I started with my white gesso like I do, and the texture that I like, and then I just used a thin coat of Bob on top. And so I started with that, and then I used some acrylic, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna, and I did just a light wash and made my own gray tone. And then I blocked in my fox with this, and then a little bit of the blue around the edges, and that's all I've done. Other than I use these crayons just to kind of, because some of this will kind of come through, and
What kind
also
of crayon is that, Lori? Can you hold that
so
closer to the camera?
these are art crayons by Marabou.
Gotcha.
And I wouldn't use them on top because they'll dissolve. But underneath, because they are a water soluble thing. But I have found underneath that they'll come through and sparkle through a little bit. So I don't do a lot of it, just a little bit. But you can wipe them off or melt them around. But anyway, so I am going to now I'm gonna add some oil now instead of over the acrylic instead. And I am just using this brush because I want to have, I don't want a real refined look right now. And I'm doing it thin as we paint with oils in traditional or water mixable, the same rules apply. There are rules you don't want to break with certain mediums, and oils, you don't want to break this rule. You want to paint lean to fat. So that means you add more oil, like we were saying a little bit ago, as you progress.
Lori,
So,
could I bother you to
yeah,
highlight your palette again one more time? We've
yes.
got a couple questions about what the colors were.
Okay,
Yeah.
bear with me. I'm just learning how to
Thank
move
you
all
so
these
much.
cameras around. Okay, that focused. Okay, so I have white, yellow ochre, cad lemon yellow, or yellow lemon, ultramarine blue, madder lake. Madder lake is like alizarin, but alizarin is a fugitive color in many brands, so that means it is not light fast. So madder lake. And then transparent oxide red, which is a lot like burnt sienna, except it has more transparency. And so I'll use a lot of this as I progress with the fox and the glazes and things. And then that's Payne's Gray.
And then the mediums that you have there, you've got the painting
And
page
then
to see
the
and
mediums, so I can, okay, so thank you for reminding me. So the mediums, here's the painting medium. So when I'm ready, so what you're seeing me do right now is the beginning stages. So you saw my acrylic and gesso underpainting, the drawing that I have of my fox, and I want to talk about that in a moment too. And then now I started to use the oils, but I'm using the water and the oil. And after I get my first initial layer up there, then I won't use as much water anymore. I'll still rinse my brushes and maybe dip a tiny bit for flow, but I will start using mediums. And this is where it gets confusing with any oil painter, whether you're a traditional oil painter or a water mixable oil painter or the mediums. You actually could paint the whole painting without using mediums. You can. And that's the best way to get started with Cobra, honestly, is especially plein painting, you don't even need to use mediums. But when you're wanting to take your time and not paint alla prima all at once, these mediums really are really cool to use. So painting medium is next. And so what I would do, I'll just jump ahead. I feel like this is blurry. What's happening? I'm sorry if
it's
it's
that
blurry.
portrait mode, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's
Thought I
fine.
turned
We
it
can see.
off.
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just put a little bit of painting medium on there, okay? And then I'll grab, let's grab my nice brand new Willow Wolf brush that I'm christening. Um, and I'm gonna work on the fox for you a little bit. So did you see, I dipped in my water, got it wet for a minute, just not soaking wet. Then I grabbed a little bit of paint, a little bit of the oil, and then I'm kind of already, well, I'll thicken it up a little bit. It's feeling
I like
blurry.
that you're showing this because I always recommend to folks moderation, moderation, moderation when we're using mediums, especially in the early
Yes.
stages. Yeah.
Sorry if this is blurry. It's not right here, but it gets blurry there. Maybe, whoops. Anyway, all right. So then I'm going to go up and just start blocking. This is a little soon for me to be using the medium because I don't have my whole painting built yet. I would do one other layer. So right now I put it on the fox here. Let me show you what that's looking like. And it already looks really pretty, but I wish I had one more layer. Okay. So I already, it's already like a glaze. So, but look what I could do. Let me show you what I could do for, let me, oh, now I need to go back to my other camera. Hang on. Where? There. Okay, so I want to show you because, all right, let's say I want to do a little bit of the snow. So
Love the painting paste.
yeah, I gotta use my painting paste for snow because that builds up this fun impasto. So yeah, snow's white, but I want to show you something. If I just did white up there, that looks horrible. That doesn't look right. So I'm going to put blue in my snow and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre just to tone that down. And then did you see I just grabbed a little bit of the painting medium, and then I'm going to grab a little bit more. The painting paste is clear paint, but let's see. And then I'm just going to carve around him just for a sec.
Lori, folks are saying that your name is in the middle of the screen.
Uh-oh, it's not on mine. Well, I'm so
Not,
sorry.
I am not seeing it either.
Um, I just switched to, let's see.
I
So
don't see it either.
is it right now with this camera as well?
I'm not seeing it, no.
So it was with the up close palette?
I do not see where folks are seeing it. I'm looking at the feed on YouTube. So let's go ahead and I'll keep an eye on it, see if I can mitigate that.
Okay, yeah, I don't see it on my end, and I really hope that's not happening. Was that multiple people saying that?
No, but
Okay.
a couple
Anyway,
people. The middle of the screen. It's on every camera.
it's on every camera?
Yes, everybody's seen it except for you and I, which is really
Oh,
weird.
no. Is it covering the demo?
I don't see it on the YouTube screen though, folks, on the recording. So you might check your own settings for Zoom.
Gosh, I don't know what that would be.
I'm looking to see if I can see something here on my side. You keep going.
Okay. So I'm even going to touch into the burnt sienna a tiny bit with my snow in the background. I am moving faster than I normally would. I would have, like I said, done another layer with just the water, but I wanted to show you with the mediums. And I want his tail coming over. This is the golden rectangle from here to here. And I want to hint at that. Just just a little nod to it. I don't get totally caught up in that, but a little bit. And then I will wipe things back and keep them kind of thin. And so my fox, I've been drawing birds and animals and wildlife for as long as I can remember and painting them since the 90s. And I've done all different kinds of techniques. And snow actually gets a little bit bluer as it comes towards you. And I know that sounds super counterintuitive, but that's how it looks like to me at least. So I'm going to do that right now. And this is not finished at all. This is just a start. So anyway, for this painting, as I have said, I'm trying to take some shortcuts in my life and also improve my craft. And I have found I used to mass in everything like I do still life. When I set up a still life painting right in front of me, I'll have a vase and different objects, and then I'll just mass in the shape. But with animals, when I do that, I don't get quite as accurate as I want. And so I went back to more of my drawing skills and I'll draw on tracing paper, and then I transfer my drawing over to the panel or to the canvas. And that's what I've done. And then I do a little outline so that as I'm painting, excuse me, if I screw up, I can wipe back and I don't lose it. And I like soft edges too. And I'm already wanting to soften his edge to make him feel like he's going to be a part of the scene more. And then I can start.
Lori,
Yes.
I do see this now, and I
What do you
think
see?
it's on your end.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so why don't you back up to the screen where we see you and
Okay.
not your painting real quick, and we're going to see if we can switch and get it to go away.
Okay.
There
Oh,
we go.
there. Okay.
Um,
What
if
do you see?
uh,
Because I don't see anything. Remove spotlight. Did that do anything?
nope, it's still there.
So I don't see anything. I see my name in the lower left-hand corner, but I see your name also.
Right.
Gosh, guys, I hope this worked out for you.
Let me
Technology.
there we go. Now I can kind of see just a second. I think we're looking good. That did it. It's gone. Yay. All right.
Yeah, but we're almost finished now.
Okay, now let's go back to your other camera and see if it comes back.
Oh, where was it that, how did you fix it?
It was right in the middle. So sorry,
Oh,
everybody. I have no idea why that happened. That's the first, but
it's my
it's gone now.
name.
So go back to your other camera and let's see if it comes back.
See, I can't see it on my end, so darn it. What are they saying now?
So far so good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to add a little blue under his chin because the reflected light would come up. And then I'm going to show you, let's see. I'm dipping into a little bit of yellow ochre too on the edges here. Maybe it's not quite as. All right, and then I want to show you I'm just kind of showing you a couple techniques that I can use my graphite to start making it look like it's fur. Did I lose you guys? Are you there?
We are here. We are here.
I
I just
thought I
turned up my
lost you.
mic because I
All of a sudden I thought I lost you. Okay, got quiet. Anyway, so I'll just come through and use the graphite sometimes to give some interesting texture. And I don't use small brushes anymore very much, a little bit toward the end, but I don't want to be so controlling. It's more fun to use larger brushes. Now I'm rinsing that off. You can't see, but I rinsed it off, and I'm going to go dip back into my painting medium, a little bit of the transparent oxide red. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to it and a touch of blue to tone it down. And then I'm gonna start working on his body a bit more. I feel like this turned out to be like a speed demo or something.
Got plenty of time. Don't worry about it.
Okay. You'll have to check back, follow my Instagram, and I'll post progress on this on my story. If you don't follow me, you can find me Lori McNee Artist on Instagram. And I'm pretty good at posting what I'm up to. And that'll be fun if you're interested in seeing how this turns out over the next few days. I'll be interested to see how it turns out. It's always interesting. Paintings are, it's kind of like childbirth. You never know. Sometimes the labor is easy and sometimes it's a lot harder. So let's say that I want to add a little bit of darkness. And I wear gloves because I get it all on me and then I don't have to wash my hands as frequently but I do use cadmiums, and even though they're not nearly as toxic as the traditional, it's still good not to get it on your skin. So, and sometimes I get lazy and I don't wear gloves too. So I would come in with a more precise brush to finish the eyes in a bit. And my grandfather had a pet fox when I was a little girl, and he saved it. It was a little orphan in Colorado, and it's some of my best childhood memories were going and seeing this fox at his farm he had in Colorado. And they're a canine, so they're a dog, a wild dog, but they act a lot like a cat. And its name was Foxy. And so I just love foxes. But one day Foxy ran away. He was ready to go back out and be a wild fox. But I think that memory really instilled a lot of love of animals when I was a little girl.
Couple quick questions for you, Lori.
Yeah,
What's the surface you're painting on? And also, are you working from a photo or memory?
working from photos, kind of compilation of photos. No, I can't work totally from memory. Maybe a few birds I can, but I have photos that I've taken and friends have given me and that sort of thing. And so here's a smaller paintbrush. So they do come in handy. I just wanted to get sort of fox-like for you. And I want it to feel like it's moving, so I'm gonna leave I like his leg right there. Like, I may not touch that leg because it's blurry and it looks like he's taking a step, so I like that. So, I've said this before, the painting medium sets up quickly for me, which I like because I can work pretty quickly. Um, but if I let this sit for a couple days, then I will go to the either quick dry or glazing. And let me show you because here's something kind of fun. I use water a lot and then it will drip. And then I'll just show you what it can do. And then I'll leave like these lines. So anyway, that's kind of fun. Any other questions?
There is one question. When we were looking at the paintings, you had talked about oiling out. What do you use to oil out?
So painting medium, usually I'm able to use this and it works really well. And you could either paint it on with a soft brush or you can use a cloth. And you know what? I like Viva towels a lot, and also the blue shop towels that you can get at a like cart auto supply store. Those work really well too. There went my leg. I use the back of the brush. Anyway, that's kind of how I get going. I jumped in a little faster on this one. So again, I would have built it up the beginning stages like you saw me do here with a little bit of oil. I would have done that all the way around and kind of looked at it and decided what I want to do next. But I usually do go to the animal pretty quickly because if I can get the animal to feel like it's working, then I know I'm on the right track. So but I'll keep using the painting medium to cover this whole painting. And then I'll let it set up for a day or two. And then I might go to quick dry at that point. Or I could jump to glazing medium, but if I'm going to use glazing medium, I'd probably wait a couple more days to get onto the painting. I'd let it sit a few more days is what I'm trying to say. And it's interesting because every painting has its own personality. And like you saw in the example of paintings that Jeff showed us, the lavender was very impasto-like, I can't even say impasto. And this one seems like it, and maybe it's just the way that I jumped right in with more like almost glazing, like I'm almost glazing right now with the painting medium, which you can. But so this painting, probably the fox, I'll build up some thicker passages on them, but they'll be thin. The snow will be thicker and the background probably will be thin, pretty thin back here. So I'll build this up more and some of the texture on him. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, my plan of attack. Any more questions from anybody? I'm happy to answer questions.
We do have some more questions. Why don't you pop back so we can see you again, and then I'll go
Sure.
through some of the questions folks have, and if we need to go back to
Okay,
painting, we will.
okay. Well, at least it's starting to look like a fox. Um, Let me find. Here we go. Okay.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad we figured that out. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but
Oh,
we got it fixed. I think somebody was right. You were on the spotlight, and somehow when it moved to the other camera, it popped up, but it was fine. It was fine. You did
shoot.
good.
Okay. So will that be a problem for them to be able to watch it
Yeah.
or no? Okay.
Yeah. Plus, I think we got it resolved good enough. I see
And
lots
if
of thumbs up. There were lots
if
of thumbs up out there. Thank you, everybody, for
okay,
helping us through that
good.
and your patience.
Thanks for your patience. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message.
For sure. I've got a few of them here. So someone would like to know, Charlotte would like to know, what does the cold wax exactly do?
So it adds a really neat texture that's hard to achieve, but like I said, I'm able to do it with the paste pretty well. It adds a viscosity thickness to the paint. It also adds kind of a muted feeling and um, just a thicker consistency. So, and you just have to play with it and see what you think. But the painting paste, I'm able to replicate it. I won't need to, this is on a panel what I'm working on. And that's the other thing with cold wax. You don't want to paint with it on a flexible material like canvas because it will, once the painting cures, the cold wax can crack. And so you only want to use it on a panel. And this is a panel, but I don't think it's not calling me for cold wax. So I'll just use this all the way through.
Perfect, perfect. Another question is, have you ever tried the Cobra paint thinner?
Yes, I have. I've tested all the products that have been out. Royal Talens sends them to me as a product tester. And I think it's great, but I don't need it. I kind of have my way of working and I haven't needed it. And even like I showed you, at first I thought, oh, I can do cool effects with it, which you can, but I haven't needed to. So I'm able to do that with water. Um, that if you want to, I guess once the painting sets up a little bit more, water won't penetrate. Like I was able to get those drips I showed you. Um, the thinner would work for that. After maybe a couple days, the painting set up, the water kind of beads off instead. The paint thinner would help with that. And I don't know, I didn't ever use it on brushes, like to clean brushes, but no, I don't use it that much.
Yeah, yeah. I think the best application for the thinner is compared to water, you can only use, or it's only recommended to use a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 part water to 1 part Cobra. So if you really want to get a very thin, lean, wash-like effect, you can use very little paint with as much thinner as you like and still have a strong, durable paint film, even if you did that on the final layer. So that's one of the great things
Well,
about the
that's cool
thinner.
to know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
the other thing was just feel, touch. A lot of folks who were switching from traditional oils to water mixable oils like Cobra didn't really like the feel of the water mixing with the paint. It was different than the salt way the solvent feels. The thinner feels more like traditional solvent mixed with
Yes,
oil
it
paint.
does.
So it has that kind of touch that you might be used to as a traditional oil painter making the transition. So it might be something good for you, good for folks there too.
That's good feedback. Thank you.
We got some more questions. Thank you, everybody. Great participation today. I just love this. And lots of compliments and kudos, by the way.
Thank you. I love you all. Say hi to me. I want to know you if that you were there. I'd love to say hi.
Here's one. So the difference between the quick dry medium and the glazing medium. I can take that or you can take that, whatever you
Go
want to
ahead
do.
and take it, because I
You
always
want to take
learn
it?
something from you.
All right. So the painting medium that you showed, the 091 and the quick dry medium are very similar. They both make the paint more fluid. They both make the paint glossier. They make the paint a little fatter. They loosen it up a little bit, make it easier to manipulate the paint on the surface. The one main difference is that, of course, the quick dry medium will make the paint oxidize more quickly or dry more quickly. So it's great for folks who want to speed up that process. The glazing medium is actually the fattest of all the mediums, so it has the highest oil content, and it is developed specifically for glazing techniques. It has a very a strong self-leveling quality, so it removes any brush strokes that you use when you're painting with it. It almost has the consistency of like a syrup or a honey to some degree. So it's really intended for the specific use of glazing, where the other two mediums are more versatile and you can apply them at different parts of the painting process.
Hey, I concur.
Okay, let's see what else we got. Some colors again. So you had ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, cad lemon,
In
titanium
this
white.
palette, yes. So, titanium white, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, lemon, uh, ultramarine blue, madder lake, transparent oxide red, and Payne's gray. And then, because I can get all these muted tones. So my thought with that is I can get a lot of muted background tones, yet I can really pop the red of the animal, the foxy colors. So that's going to be my plan. And I love these purples. And even I chose this little purple crayon underneath, which I am going to abandon as soon as I start covering it with oil. Um, but it'll peek through a little bit.
Love it, love it. One last question, and then we'll wrap up with some announcements. But does the painting have to be completely dry before you use the glazing medium, or is dry to the touch okay?
Yeah, dry to the touch is great. Yeah, that's the optimum. I'll even when it's a little tacky, use it too. Um, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You don't have
can,
to wait till
I
it's cold.
concur. I concur.
Yes, okay, good.
All right. Well, announcements, Lori, coming up, where can we see your work? I did put your website into the chat, folks. So if you want to visit Lori's website,
I need to update it, but I'll be doing that because I have a lot of things coming up. So, I'm teaching. Want to join me? I still have some room in the Cotswolds in May if you're interested. I have a group going to paint the Cotswolds in the UK and England in May. We still can fit a few more people. And before that, I'm going to be at Royal Talens, the factory outside of Amsterdam, and I'll be teaching a bird painting workshop. It's just a full day of a lot of fun. The price includes all the products. It's going to be so cool. I do not speak Dutch. I said, is there a translator for me? But I'm so excited and honored. I've wanted to go there forever. So I'm gonna do that on my way to the Cotswolds. And then I've got shows this summer coming up and I'm judging. I'm judging the Lavender Festival and I'm also judging Midway down in Utah, which is one of the largest plein air events in the country. And that they're both in July. So and then I've got plein air festivals and then a couple women's shows that I'm very honored to be a part of. So I'll have all this on my website very soon.
that's fantastic. Yeah, you're going to have a great time in Appledorn. Have you been there before?
No, I've never been to Appledorn. How do you say Appledorn?
Appledorn, that's good. And you won't have to worry about a translator. The Dutch speak very good English.
They do, and they're so nice
Yeah,
and beautiful people. They're just nice inside and out.
absolutely, absolutely. So I have one more announcement, and then I got some paint to give away. So my announcement is that we have another show coming up in 2 weeks, same day, same time. It's going to be March 5th with Charlie Hunter. So Charlie's going to come on and spin a yarn for us and paint and painting. It should be
That's
fun.
fun.
So make sure you keep an eye out for the announcement, the event posting, and mark that on your calendar. March 5th, Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so who is my lucky winner? I'm spinning my little wheel here, and we're going to see where it comes up. I've got Ruth Bosveld, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Bosveld. Ruth, you are today's winner of a Lori McNee set of Cobra oils. Yay!
Oh, you're giving my set away.
I'm
Thank
giving
you.
your set away.
Awesome.
And Ruth, you just need to direct message me at Royal Talens NA, and I'll get that message and we'll get you hooked up with a set of Cobra paint. Congratulations, Ruth. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. As always, thank you, Lori. This was fantastic. Always great to see you and talk with you, and love to watch you paint. And
Yeah,
you said
lots.
you'd post some images on your social media of the
I'll
paint in
post this
progress.
as is right now so you can kind of see the beginnings, and then I'll post progress if you want to follow me.
Perfect, perfect. I love that. And best of luck for the rest of this year. And I will see you, I think, in May,
Oh, that's right. We've got the plein air convention. How
plein
could I
air
forget
convention.
that?
So I will
So
see you
yes, I'll
in
be
Reno,
there.
Tahoe.
I'll be a booth babe selling Cobra.
I love it. Perfect, perfect. So come, if you're going to the convention, stop by and say hello. It's a
Yeah,
fantastic opportunity if you don't know about it. I will actually, let me see. It's PACE 2025,
yeah.
2025.
Thanks for reminding me. And then I'm trying to talk Jeff into coming back to Idaho with me in October. We'll see if it happens, but he's very busy.
Fingers
Fingers
crossed, because it's always
crossed.
a lot of fun. Absolutely.
So
And so beautiful there.
we're gonna
It's just,
maybe do
yeah,
another workshop together. So we'll let you know about that too.
let you know, folks. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all for joining us, and we'll see you